where do I want to be? What do I want to do? And how do I do that? And we don't have to be a Harvard MBA to be great at something.
Some of the most successful people on the planet never went to university.
So how do you get meaning out of work? Whether you are a customer service representative or CEO of a firm, like what does that look like for you? What do you need to feel happy at work or satisfied or content?
All right, there you go. Go on then. What was your book?
What is the name of the book? Give me a minute, it'll come to my brain. But so it's basically about don't stop, right? And the book is essentially about master your skill. So and it's about being persistent and about being consistent, to be so great at what you do that people can't say no. I think that's the title of the book. Can't say no. And again, I didn't finish reading the book, but it's terrific so far. And it helps you think about where do I want to be? What do I want to do? And how do I do that? Right. And we don't have to, be a Harvard MBA to be great at something.
Absolutely. Right? I mean, some of the most successful.
Yes. Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's truly about mastering your skill, and then how do you do that?
Yeah. Some of the most successful people on the planet never went to university,
right.
Or they didn't do well at education, school, and things like that. So much of it is the mindset, I think.
Yes.
Just getting on it, and so in our game, like as we were just talking about, it's such a mindset game. It's it's like ups, downs, it's difficult. Sometimes it's easy, but once you sum everything up, you kind of get out what you put in, don't you? Because like you just go hard. Sometimes just nothing happens for you. Sometimes everything happens for you, and
Correct.
then kind of over the long term, it's like it evens itself out, I think.
But it's how do you manage? excuse me, those those hills and valleys, right? And what's the self-talk?
Yes. Yeah.
The self-talk is really important. So you can feel gloom and doom, or you can, give yourself that sort of proverbial kick in the butt, right? To get moving again. And I think it's a good segue into the topic.
Happiness. Yeah. On the mindset thing, let me just say, because I drone on about mindset probably way too much, but it's important, because you're the person you listen to most. And then when you have this start, and suddenly you can get something in your mind, and it's natural to go through ups and downs, right? Like it's normal human emotions to feel down, to feel up. But I think for me, it's like, and we got this coach in like a year ago. Actually, I'm going to get him back in, and he was talking about like positive and negative thinking spirals. And so when you're going down a red negative thinking spiral, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just like the ability, and it's harder than it sounds, but just to be like, catch yourself, put things into perspective, take a breath, go for a walk, do some exercise, get in nature, turn on a really good tune, and just whatever, just to trigger yourself out of it.
Right.
I've been trying to teach my kids that, because for adults it's hard enough, right? And then for kids, I'm trying to teach them not to worry about things they can't affect, and all of these kind of things. It's like super difficult.
I think it even gets harder with teenagers. So when I think back about how I would help even my own daughter when she was younger to manage her emotions, and the breathing exercises, because I think breathing exercises are really important. The slow in through the nose, or quick in through the nose rather, and slowly out of the mouth, and even tapping. There's a tapping method. It's a proven method that if you tap, because you're bringing yourself to the frontal lobe of your brain to focus, because the back of our brain, the amygdala, right, is where we erupt the emotions. We get triggered, and then it's flooding. So how do we control it? Yeah. So it's things that I've taught my own daughter. However, in her own way, everybody has to deal with things in their own way. Hers happens to be, maybe a little more stubborn. She wants to do it her way, not mom's way, in slowing down to breathe and refuses to do some of those things. So but it's how do we manage ourselves then, becoming adults? And I'm saying this now for my own daughter because she's a teenager, and teenagers' emotions are everywhere and their hormones are everywhere. But as adults, it's what methods can we choose to help ourselves to manage all of these cycles of emotions and feelings that we have, whether it's elation or feeling down, right? So happiness.
Yeah, it's true.
And what is
And in our,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Go
and it's
ahead.
just an analogy. And in our game, where it's sales, it's commercial, it's ups, downs. Someday you're in the clouds, someday you're in the gutter. You've got to try and manage your emotions so you never get. I mean, for me, this is what I try and do: is I never, I never get too up and I never get too down. And maybe it's in my DNA. I'm like quite optimistic, and I find it. I'm like generally quite happy. I'm fine going through these things, but I think it's also something that you can work on as
Yeah.
well with these little chips, with these little tricks of whether it's tapping or having some soundtrack in your head. I always have this like really there's this tune that I love, and whenever something's like not going my way, and I remember this tune and I can't help but feeling great. And it's like, oh, actually that isn't so bad. And then you do work through it, and so it's really good having these little triggers. The happiness thing, let me share my screen, because you saw an article.
Yep.
I forget which newspaper it was in, but we'll share
The
it in the
Guardian.
show notes. The Guardian, UK
Mhm.
newspaper.
Right.
So maybe we'll share the link to it, and then I did a poll, and let's see if this works. So I'm gonna, yeah, here we go. So I did a poll yesterday. No, actually, that was 6 days ago. 6 days ago. You got 22 hours left
Feels
to
like
vote,
yesterday.
guys. 22. I was like, it's yesterday. Felt like yesterday. But I thought we'd do a little poll. And then 69 people have voted so far. It's 22 hours left, folks. So please vote. But so it was in the Guardian, and the context I think here was there's a Chinese supermarket chain that started to offer employees up to 10 days of unhappiness leave, no questions asked. And so I just thought I'd get a little sense check of what do people think about that. And so 80% of people thought it was a great idea, and 17% of people said no, I'd rather use sick leave. And there's a few interesting comments about it being, most of them were actually use it for sick pay and stuff. But it was quite interesting. So I thought we were just going to talk. We're going to just talk through that a little bit, because I think it's quite interesting. Because I think for me, happiness at work, everyone's talking about it. Like you go on social media and everyone's like, you've got to be happy at work, otherwise leave. And like it's the thing you do most of your job. You've got to be happy. And
Right.
so it's true. The other side of it, though, is that it's quite a lot of pressure for people. Like you have to find something you're happy. And a lot of people that I speak with, and I'm sure you're the same, they're not so happy in their job.
Yeah. I think
You know,
many
and
people.
yeah,
But what is happiness? And I think we have to define what that is for ourselves, right? Because happiness isn't something that just happens to us. We have to define
true.
what happiness is, and what kind of meaning we get out of work, and the joy that we want to experience and extrapolate. That's what I think. I think as I've gotten older in my career, I've had to think about that differently. I remember being a miserable person when I was younger, and not proud of that either, but I think that's just about growing and evolving.
Yeah,
So how do you get meaning out of work? Whether you're a customer service representative or, the CEO of a firm, like what does that look like for you?
yeah, it's true. I mean, because people look at it two ways. It's like you work to earn money
Yeah.
to live, and I always hear this, or you find your passion and you earn money and you're super happy doing it. I think you often hear those two extremes. For me, it's interesting because everyone talks about work-life balance, which I hate, because the opposite of life is death, and everyone equates work to death. And if you're already thinking about work as like the worst thing ever, how
Right.
can you even enjoy it? You're like, oh my God, I've got to go to work tomorrow. And like a lot of people, it's like, yay, it's Friday, and thank goodness it's the end of the week, and Thursday's the new Friday, so they're switching off on Friday anyway. And so like there's a lot of that, over the
Yeah.
years. And so if you get there in your mind of, oh no, it's Monday, yeah,
Yeah.
it's Friday, it's a
Right.
pretty I mean, the road's really long, you're working for a long time, and if that is your life, it's it's not great, I've got to
No,
say.
that's not
It's like
great.
not the scenario you want to be in. So but it's all perspective. Like for me personally, I love what I do. I really love what I do. I like it's
Same.
difficult. It's
Mhm.
difficult. We talked
Mhm.
about before. It's ups and
Mhm.
downs. It's hard. It should be hard. Um, and and I like the hard. I like doing hard things, and also what we do. It's very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And we get out what we put in.
Right.
And yeah, and also for me, like the human aspect is great because our business is about people
Right.
and everything that goes with it. So that's good. The entrepreneur stuff's great. I love building. We've got a lovely group of folks that we work with. So all of those things I really enjoy. And I guess I'm maybe lucky to have found it, depending on how
Yes.
you look at it.
Yes. Yes, I agree completely. When I think about what we do and the comment I made about finding meaning at work, it is hard what we do, right? And finding that top talent and pleasing our clients is very difficult. And then securing the work is very difficult. I love the challenge of the entrepreneurship aspect of what we do. Um, but I think for me, how did I find happiness at work? It was realizing the impact that I have on people's lives, right? So, not just the client. I mean, that makes, you find this top talent for them. It's going to make their life hopefully easier, right? They're going to, drive that revenue and reach their, business goals that they're looking for. But we just had an impact on someone's life, changing their lives, taking them down a whole new path. So for
Yeah.
me, it was really personally rewarding. And when I discovered that for myself, how many years ago, I won't disclose, um, it gave me pleasure. It brought me happiness, right? So I found happiness in that. It made going to work easier. It doesn't mean I don't have my valleys where that self-talk starts creeping in.
Yeah.
And then how do you, again, we go back to that, right? How do you deal with that? And, you know, so for companies to have, the survey that you put out there in terms of, that time off, do you incorporate that into sick days, or is it just happiness days or mental health days? I mean, today's the last day, right? Or one more day of Mental Health Awareness Month,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I think it ties into our mental health and the awareness around that, and what could we be doing from an employer standpoint to be supportive.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's always two ways to look at it. It's to what is the onus on the employer, or
Mhm.
what onus does the employer have to make sure that their employees are as happy as they can be, and how can we support people?
Right.
And then in the other side, I'm a big advocate for, and I'd love to speak. Let's discuss both. But I'm also a big advocate for taking ownership of yourself. Like taking
Absolutely.
responsibility. So should we start with like the individual? Like it's just good because I think a lot of the time people wait. I feel they do anyway. They wait for the company, or the narrative they have in their head
Mhm.
is someone's done them something. It's not been, I'm not happy because my boss, I'm not happy because I'm not being paid enough. I'm not, like it's,
Not getting the projects I wanted. I don't know, I'm overlooked, whatever.
yeah, yeah. And that's a narrative. And I don't think, I mean, yeah, you might have been dealt a bad hand, right? I mean, absolutely. Like life isn't fair, never will be, and stuff like that. But then I think there's certain things in our control that we can do that
Mhm.
gives us the best chance of being happy for
Mhm.
whatever your definition of happiness is.
Right. We are
You
in the
know,
driver's seat.
we are, there we
Right.
are, and
Right.
so it's like my message to people always, it's like, you're the CEO of your career,
Yes.
like you're in charge
Mhm.
and you can decide what you do. And for
Mhm.
me, if I just give you like little things that I do, and we spoke about this a lot, but I love my exercise. And so I'm like doing exercise a lot, which I mean, it creates so many chemicals in your mind and body and stuff
Yeah.
like that. but it takes my mind off work. So it gives me like a, I don't know, mental break, whatever. Again, it's like difficult. You do a difficult workout, but you feel incredible after. And then, yeah, I try and sleep well. I try and eat well. Things like that. Try and have good people around you, positive people around you is really important.
Very
Um,
important.
you know,
Yes.
not go down a rabbit hole of negativity on social media. And, like just, I think
Stay.
there are things that you can do.
Yeah. Yes. So for me, exercise, although I don't do it as much and as intensely as I did, and I can tell you, based on the comparison of when I was so intensely and exercising and training, what it did for my mindset, the positive feelings that I had. I felt happier. I felt more confident. It's like you said, all those hormones going off in your brain. It's so positive and so helpful. But one of the other things that I do for myself that I've gotten into in the last few years is gardening, digging in the dirt and connecting with the ground.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like you said, you're not thinking it, you're totally disconnecting. And I do it by myself. So I'm just doing it. I'm in the sunshine. Okay, I'm in Florida. It gets very hot, and sometimes I'm practically passing out. But I'm doing something productive and creative at the same
yes,
time, also, which is really helping. My happiness and keeping my endorphins going. So it's like your escape, right? Exercise is an escape. Gardening is an escape. For some people, reading is an escape. Meditation, obviously, I think is something I have not mastered that, but I know it's a very effective thing for many people and helpful to stay grounded.
yeah.
So,
Love that. I love that.
yeah, yeah. So if employers, maybe they tie it into sick days, I don't know, but maybe it's an additional number of, you want to call them sick days, but maybe why can't they call them mental health days?
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, I remember like there was a period about maybe 10, 15 years ago where some employers in the UK introduced duvet days, because there was this thing of like a lot of people were just like not turning up to work and stuff, and they were like, do you know what? Let's just have 2, 3 duvet days a year where you just don't want to come into work. This was like basically back in the day when like most people were going in 5 days a week to an office,
Right.
and and so they were just like, you call up and be like, I went out. I had a big night last night. I'm duvet day today. And that was a thing. I mean, they've kind of phased out now. But I think the mental health day is interesting because on the one side, and I know most of the people voted for it, but I still think there's a lot of folks that would just be, if they're genuinely struggling,
Yeah.
depression, stuff like that. I think people would struggle to go to their boss and ask for a, whatever you call it, a happiness
Mental.
day or a mental
Yeah.
health day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think people would worry that they would worry that people, would think negatively of them. They'd probably worry they might get made redundant or phased out. And I think there's a lot of that. And
True.
I saw over COVID, a lot of people were getting burnt out. And most people I spoke to, when if they said that to me, they said, "Little Lewis, I'm burning out. I'm struggling. Like, what do you think and stuff?" And my first question was, what did your boss say, or have you spoken to anyone in the firm? And most people were like, "No, no, no, no. I'm like, don't want to be the next one out the door, and can't afford not to work and stuff like that." So that would be my only
Yeah,
thing. I'd love,
concern. Yeah, it puts a pause on it. It's a risk. How much of, myself do I want them to know?
yeah,
Yeah,
and mental health is like, I mean, it's a very obviously personal thing, and it's
sure.
something that I think a lot of people are very guarded about, that people put on a front. Most of the time it's, how you doing? Yeah, great. How you really doing? Wow. And then they wouldn't really say that to people unless they're very comfortable.
Right.
And as a boss, that might not be, you might not be the person that they're gonna.
And in the back of their minds, it still may be, even though you're so comfortable, is it a risk
Yeah,
that I'm sharing this information? That's a
now
tough one. It's truly a
it's
tough one.
yeah, yeah. because really we'd like to say absolutely not, and everyone is supportive and employers should be supportive. And I think as humans, like, I mean, I think I can speak for both of us, super supportive. If anyone comes to
Yes.
us and says, oh my God, I'm going through something, you're like, no
Right.
problem, take some time, get yourself sorted out. Let me know if I can help,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but there are folks around where, or leaders where they're not they call it empathy, but they're not like that. And I think maybe in some large corporates, I don't know, but
Okay.
it's a
But
tough
there are
thing to
some
do.
really good, yeah, there are some really good programs though in some of the, larger enterprise organizations where, so in the United States, right, then it's maybe I need to do like a disability leave, right? So you have that
Yes.
benefit, but then how does that impact your future? I mean, or with that employer, maybe not your future overall, but with that employer, you need to take time. Look, I mean, it could be anything. We all have lives, and it may not just be about my own mental health. It may be about, yes, my mental health, but because I have something going on with my family, my mom is in the hospital, or whatever it may be, and you just can't focus on work. So
Yeah, yeah,
here we have to take family leave,
yeah.
right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then also with leaders, I'm always kind of spoken about this a little bit about like who does the go-to person go to when things get tough? Because like the leadership role is quite lonely, and often you feel like you should have all the answers, and everyone's looking to you for it. And certainly over the last few years, when there's all the stuff going on in the economy, in the world, and COVID and
Right.
whatever, and everyone's struggling.
Mhm.
The leaders also, they're human too.
Right.
They
Yeah.
also struggle. So I think I remember this. I can't remember who said this to me, but they were like, everyone needs to have a psychiatrist in their life, like someone to speak with.
Your
You know?
your rabbi at work, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone needs one. Everyone. I think almost I would say pretty much every Fortune 500 CEO has an exec coach. I'm pretty sure. It's getting more and more popular. Also,
Mhm.
mental health is getting more and more acceptable. Acceptable, but people speak about it more. Certainly, guys, like we don't really speak about. It's never really a thing.
Right.
But then more and more now, like men are speaking to each other about mental health, going through different things and stuff like that. So, I
Which is
would say,
great.
like for employers, we should encourage people to talk
Yeah. Yeah.
about it.
Maybe they need to have like, a lot of companies have the benefits for, especially bigger companies, for your mental health, that you can seek counseling, and there's some benefits that
Yeah,
are offered through their overall scale of benefits. But what if they were to employ, I don't know, this is a stretch, some type of psychologist as a benefit, and you could go have a 45-minute session at work?
it'd be unbelievably amazing. I think they'd probably be overworked and need to see their own psychiatrist, psychologist afterwards. They absolutely. I think definitely. I think definitely. I think as an employer, and obviously there's different sizes and you have different budgets and whatever, but generally, like you need to be, or you should want to support your team as much as you can.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I
And
wholeheartedly agree. Mhm.
yeah, if you're there for people, they're there for you.
Right.
And yeah, life's short and all of
You get
that
a lot
stuff.
of
So
mileage out of people that way. The
yeah,
the dedication to want to stay and do well and perform kind of cycles back to the beginning of the conversation. The more support you can show, right? And what do you need? What do you need to feel happy at work, or satisfied, or content, right? The degrees of happiness, again, is different for everybody. And how can I help you? I think it really
yeah,
truly needs to be genuine, because especially for those who are really doing good work, you want to retain them. So what do those retention tools look like,
yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. Then if let's say you're in, I mean, so there's all of that stuff. The other part to this, I think, is also if you really don't enjoy the job, like you're in the wrong job, right, and you haven't quite admitted it to yourself yet. that you just kind of got to a point where just you're not enjoying it, and because there's a lot of people that they want to transition to something different. Maybe they've
Sure.
also been doing it for like a long time and they're like
Hmm.
ready to try and do something different. So I think at that point also, as individuals, we have to be like self-reflective enough to say, you know what, think I need to try something else now. And at that point, go look for something else. I'm not advocating just quit your job and sack it all in and whatever, but start to like speak with people, connect with people on LinkedIn that are doing the job you want to do, apply for stuff, go, start the ball rolling on transitioning to something else.
Right, exactly. It leads to so many other things, right? Networking conversations, the power of networking.
Yeah.
Um, it also leads to this topic leads to a lot of things, even neurodiversity in the workplace, and then hiring, in that realm of neurodiversity, neurodiverse talent, and defining what that looks like. And so, if there's this big push, which I read a lot about for neurodiversity and hiring specifically around neurodiverse individuals, what mechanisms are in place to support that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe this Chinese company is not wrong, right? 10 days, no questions asked.
Yeah, I think it's I think absolutely. I mean, I think it's yeah, it's great. I think it's good to recharge. I mean, I'm a big advocate for go take some holiday. Like
Yeah.
you need to because we talk about it quite a lot. It's like you need to like maintain your energy levels. Because if again you're working for a long time and you don't want to get burnt out,
No.
and you want to be happy, you want to stay like energized. You want to do great work, you want to have great relationships with your friends and your family and your colleagues, and all of that. So if you want all of that and integrate your work and your life and stuff, you've got to work really hard at keeping yourself, and if that's like a day, a month of just I'm just chilling, I'm going to do my gardening, I'm going to relax in nature,
Hmm.
recharges you, and then you come back like gives you like enough energy for the next month, and then I'm going to take another. I think that's
Right.
that's great.
That's
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe that's where unlimited PTO comes in. A lot
We
of companies
basically have
offer. Yeah.
we basically have that. I
Right.
mean, literally, like anyone can you can take as many holidays days as because obviously it's about output.
Yeah.
Like and also I mean it's also just want to say that everyone works differently.
Yeah.
In terms of some people are like you've heard the term like larks and night owls. Like some people work better later on, like, and some people better in the morning, and and if you're doing a job like an office job or something like that, what we do, where you can work from anywhere and all of that stuff, and it's about output, I think. And if you know yourself and like when you're most productive and efficient and stuff like that, then I think it's really good. And the holidays are important.
They're very important. Everybody needs a mental break.
Absolutely. I like to go really hard on work and really hard on relaxing.
Yeah. But what does really hard and relaxing look like? Again, it could be like working out, or is that your form of relaxing, or is it gardening, or is it reading a book? Is it exploring,
Yeah,
traveling? I love to
everything,
travel. Yeah,
everything. And it's all
all
of
of
that.
it. Getting the senses going.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's important. And also
Mhm.
it's important not to just stay in it. It's just too much because we've got this, work from home. A lot of folks are working from home, more
Yeah.
and more going back to the office. But I think moving is so important. Just getting out for a walk if you're working at home, and booking in holiday days, having a relaxed day, doing your
Mhm.
exercise, and like it's important to balance everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
Otherwise, you might be sitting at your desk for 10 hours a day and do nothing.
Yeah. But some people are good with that.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
okay. It's not
yeah.
me.
Yeah. You got to know yourself. If you're
Sure.
like you love the work so much, like that's your thing.
Yeah.
Um, then amazing. And for me, it's just like I'm constantly like in the game and whatever, doing all the stuff, and it's great. And when I'm trying to relax, I'm trying to relax. And I should probably be. I'm trying to work at keeping my phone out of the bedroom, but I haven't been able to manage to do that yet. But
It's hard. I don't think you're alone.
spoke to
And
someone, they
people
were like, the phone doesn't come in the bedroom. I'm like, oh, really?
it's a good idea. It is, it's a really good idea. People say, "Well, I use it for my alarm clock." I remember watching, I can't remember the individual's name, but it was almost like a TED Talk. Um, and this gentleman said, "There's this traditional thing called an alarm clock. You can just go get a basic alarm clock, right? Instead of your phone, just
I
keep it away,
know you
right?"
can, but no
It's
one wants to hear that.
no. And we have to think about how much the phone really contributes to our mental health, and not necessarily in a good way.
No, you're right. There's a huge conversation around kids and social
Mhm.
media and mental health, and yeah, no, I
Adults
agree.
too, though. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Learning to,
Um,
keep yourself off of it. I don't have a lot of social media. I don't do a lot of social media, because it's easy to fall down that rabbit hole.
yeah, you've got to be quite strict with it. I mean, I'm on every single social media site. Like,
But
just
you
I mean,
use it. You use
use
it
it
for
for
work,
work. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. I use it for work. I'm not really scrolling. Like, there wouldn't be a point where like an hour or two goes by and like all I've done is just,
Scroll.
yeah, yeah. I mean, my LinkedIn for us and for business and stuff
Yes,
is
it's
great. I'm
great.
on there a lot. We do post a lot. But we also use it for sourcing and stuff
Yes.
like that. I think if all of it's used well, it's like anything. I can think you've got to use things in the right way. Moderation for most things is usually a good strategy. You know, um, but it's difficult to moderate yourself. I
Yeah,
think
it is. It is.
social media, those tech firms make it addictive.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So those firms should offer the 10 days of happiness days, no questions asked.
100%.
They're contributing to the treadmill.
Yeah. And I think with happiness, I mean, absolutely, like most. No, I mean, so much on social media is just, it's bad news, it's negativity, and I mean, you can choose who you follow and everything, but a lot of these algorithms are pushing content that you're from people you're not even following.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so I
it's
think you've got
amazing.
to be, as a parent, I'm really mindful of that. My kids are not on social media; they're way too young, way too young. But as an adult, I'm really careful, like what I consume on these different sites.
Right. Yeah, same. I mean, I look at creative things, design stuff, gardening, interior decorating things. That's what I like to look at
Yeah, yeah,
because it keeps my positive, the endorphins going. Certainly the endorphins, the studies, right, are going because you're the addictive nature of the scrolling, but I do it for creative ideas. And then I like to look at like dog videos. Because they make me happy and they're funny.
There we go, and it makes you happy. Exactly, exactly. Find stuff that makes you happy.
Right. I wanna have all the
Um,
dogs.
love that. I love that. Good stuff. We've done half an hour. I love that. Good
It's
chat.
terrific. Yeah, it was great chat.
Yeah, it
Good
went. It
stuff.
was a happy vibe and went very quickly.
Yeah, I love it. I can't
Done.
wait to see
Right.
it, like, finished.
It's good. It's fun. It's like it's good because like when you get comfortable and we're just chatting and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's really nice, right? It's funny
Yes.
because when you know something's recording, then you feel a little bit different because it's being recorded. But when we're just chatting without recording it, you feel a bit different.
Yeah. I know, I felt it still felt very natural to me.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was fine. I guess because we talk all the time, we talk through video all the time, it was, It was fine. I think this is great. I would like to do this much more often with you.
I mean, literally, we can do it on every catch up. We just press record.
Yeah.
Then we can get little snippets and
Pick a
stuff. And
topic. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, done,
Hmm.
done. Right, let me end the
That was
recording.
fantastic.
All right.
Hmm.